So you are all set to start whenever you're ready.
Okay, all right, so we have a quorum. And so we will get started and we will, there's several other things going on tonight, including the president at 9 o'clock. We will not be here anywhere near that time. Public comment? No? Okay, correspondence?
None.
No. Okay, additions to the agenda? Okay, minutes of our meeting for March 24th. Do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you. Okay, the director's report. Do you have any questions, comments? One change is in place of goals. It says status of ongoing tasks. Does that better describe what's going on here? And a source of information, okay?
Yeah.
So thank you, Yvonne, for changing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real fast, I mean, everything looks great as usual, but wow, the teen circulation is up so much, and that teen book talk video about the new graphic novels had almost 100 attendees. Like, wow, it's so hard to get teens, and there they are.
They are the most difficult population to reach.
Yeah, so you've really got
It is
what they want.
a testament to Abby doing a great job.
Yay, yay, Abby.
Good. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. It's a good report. Always good to see things going and still in flux about what happens now with COVID. Did you, Yvonne, you said you were at the, whatever it is, the crisis committee?
The EOS Emergency Operations Committee on Tuesday, and the information there was basically the town is going to hold on to the current mandates for mask wearing and keep everything the same for internal restrictions until May 19th. We thought
Okay.
it was going to be a change on May 1st, but they are keeping door monitors and keeping everything in place till a minimum of May 19th.
Okay, sounds good. I think they're looking for a little consistency, right? So we don't change every other day. Thank you. Okay, treasurer's report. Kathy, do you have any?
Well, I sent it along. I'm sorry, my computer has died on me, so I'm doing everything on my iPad and my phone, which is not as conducive to getting the things printed to file. So hopefully, thank you, Yvonne, for at least doing the one report that I was able to print out. It's still the same as always. I sent another note to John Lucas today because I haven't heard from him on what good dates there are. He and I will go and talk with Siobhan as soon as we can get a date that we can do that. But things are going the same. It closed up today, $728. So we're at $678, $660 as of the end of the day, which is a little bit higher than what you see on the report.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Nice.
we're up like 10 and a quarter on the year.
Yeah, as she said when she came to our last meeting, we are in a maintenance. We are not a high risk position, which is what we wanted. We don't wanna, we would like to make a lot, but we don't want to lose a lot. So you kind of have to balance that. But John and I will meet with her as soon as I hear from John on some possible dates, and then I will have a more detailed report later on.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Comments? No? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Committees, the new library committee.
Actually, I just pushed off our meeting that was supposed to happen tomorrow can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just pushed off our meeting that was supposed to happen tomorrow until we know whether or not we have the funds for a consultant to take a look at the 3 options from the Center School Ad Hoc Committee. In my mind, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to gather. I have had just a quick conversation with Steve Dunn, and that's another, it's a conversation to have again once we know whether or not we have the funds based on the vote on May 18th. So very quick, short update from me tonight. Any questions?
Christina, could I ask you what are the 3 options? I've lost the thread on what's being proposed for Center School.
Well, there's a whole report from the Center School Ad Hoc Committee. Would it help if I sent you that?
I'd love it.
Perfect. I'll send that to you actually like right now.
Just what I always wanted.
Perfect. Happy birthday, John. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, happy birthday.
Any other questions?
Yeah, aren't the 3 options the use of Center School, like tear it down, renovate,
Yeah.
build,
And
build new?
they have like a park and rec option also.
And actually, we don't have to stick with just what's in that report. I think the option is we can say we've got, if we get it, this amount of money, these are the questions we want to ask. I mean, those are good.
It should definitely be very well defined.
Yeah.
We should know exactly what we want to get out of it before. And I think that there's, a conversation that can be had with the Municipal Building Committee even on defining those options. They were very good about defining the options when we hired the architect last time. And they'll know more. And then, Steve Dunn, how do we work around this whole, the fact that Park and Rec is tied to one of the options at least, how do we do that? So it's a good conversation to have with Steve Dunn. Closer to, I did have an initial discussion, but a closer to discussion would be good too.
Good.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'll send you that report, John.
I love it.
Okay, the strategic plan, Mary.
Okay, so I'm usually kind of quiet at meetings. I was saving it all up for tonight.
Good.
We actually have a bunch to report out, so that's good. We held the community group meeting this past Saturday at Center School. It was moderated by Dr. Wendy Youngblood. Everyone involved was prompt, engaged, actively participated. Wendy took everybody very ably and smoothly through these kind of a big, large exercise. I guess the topic was large. The exercises were very focused and designed to elicit their vision for Brookfield. So that was really the whole, like more than 2 hours, good 2.25 hours. Then we did turn our focus to the library, and Yvonne joined us then to give a presentation to the group about the current stats of the library, explained how it's staffed, gave examples of interesting and innovative programs recently given by the library. I was only present there as an observer and to help out on Saturday. It was really nice to see the participants' reactions to how much the library does. Those positive reactions were definitely confirmed by that glowing email from one participant that they wrote to Yvonne and then she sent to all of us. So I definitely got that vibe in the room as Yvonne was speaking. So that was really neat. I sent all of you an after meeting report. I didn't know what else to call it. So that sums up what came out of the meeting. I basically just transcribed what the smaller groups said, and then they worked together in small groups. Then they reported out to the room at large. And then Wendy wrote it on this big, huge pad of paper on an easel up front. So I just gathered that into like sentences, basically. But that was really just what came out of the group that day. The vision statements began with teens. She didn't ask them to start any certain place, just the first set of vision statements, people started talking about teens. That just flowed from them first. And that really tells us and the leaders in town that we know we could be doing more for the teens in town. There were common themes for the day, mostly flexible meeting spaces for different ages and different activities, both indoors and outdoors. Transportation came up a few times for young people and teens, as well as seniors who are no longer driving so they can get to activities. And the other thing that kept coming up was how to get residents more involved. Even when you have all these great opportunities and programs, people don't tend to know about them. So how can we get people more knowledgeable about what's happening in town? So that came up several different times in different places of the meeting. At one point, actually, I wasn't going to name names, but the head of the RTC said that 90% of this could be solved if this, we were in Center School, was a library and community center, and that the old library could take care of more needs. Well, I like the way that sounded, and I didn't expect it to come from him. So he was right. So that was just happened. Anyway, the SWOT analysis really flowed. People listened to each other. One idea often generated the next idea. So that was when people talked about the strengths and weaknesses around town, the opportunities, threats, and sometimes people didn't know what category to put things in. The economy can be a strength or either an opportunity or a threat. It depends what the economy is doing at that time. So, but I think everybody, really got a good working, a good product in the end that they were happy with. Again, with the SWOT analysis, spaces and services being siloed or unknown to residents came up. And when they talked about them being siloed, they think that a lot of our departments in town operate so separately from each other that opportunities for collaboration are missed, that one department in town doesn't maybe know what the other is doing. But I bet since there are department meetings at town hall, I bet they do know, but the people in town don't think that they know. The people just don't know. So, opportunities to communicate a little more effectively. After the library presentation, each participant, so pretty much the whole first 2.25 hours was very collaborative. People were in small groups, medium-sized groups, whole room groups. Then the whole room listened to the library presentation. And then just to wrap things up at the end, each participant was given a sheet of those 18 library service responses that they worked on by themselves. And they could mark what they thought the library should be working on moving forward. They certainly crossed out things that they didn't think we needed to focus on. And that's just, the first 13 people's thoughts. They could select as many responses as they wanted. They turned in those sheets as they left, went out the way, and I tallied them up later. So that's the page that you have where there were 4 responses tied with the most votes, I guess you could say. It was interesting after such a vibrant discussion for that whole morning. I was a little surprised that their choices were so safe and were very traditional roles for the library. It felt like people were starting to think about bigger possibilities. And then when push came to shove, they fell right back onto, we just want books and, computers. But anyway, it was really a great group. They worked hard on a beautiful Saturday morning. These are very busy people. They could have been anywhere else. And they just put in the time, for Brookfield. So that was the whole kind of focus group meeting. I read through that really fast. Did anybody have any questions about that part? There's another tiny part coming, but.
Oh, is the tiny part, what do you intend to do with all of this?
Sort of, because it's tied into, so this was the beginning of data collection from the community. So we chose kind of leaders in town in different ways. It was a very varied group. Some people were kind of political leaders. Some, had reach into the senior community. There was a high school student there. So it was a kind of group. Someone was on the Conservation Commission. So we had the chair of the Board of Ed. So there were people that, know what's going on in town. So the second part of that, how we're going to collect more data, is we're about to launch a townwide survey, which will focus on pretty much the same ideas as this, but a lot more people will get input. It's a survey, it goes live May 1st, will run through May 15th. We really want to hear from a broad cross-section of people, and we're hoping to make that as easy as possible because it'll be available electronically. Everybody's really pretty savvy with that these days. We did get it ready in time for to go out with the Brookfield Spotlight. There'll be a link to it in that. It'll be available on the library's website, all the library's social media. Paper copies will be available at the library. Yvonne said perhaps they could have one computer set aside for patrons to use for the survey. So that'll all be data collection. So we see what the town thinks their needs are. And then from there, we can say, well, what can we do to better meet those needs? So that's basically the very end of April and first half of May is just big giant data collection. And then we hope to use that to inform some of our decisions. So we're definitely looking forward to hearing what everyone in town is thinking. It's been a lot of work to get the focus group meeting and the survey like just absolutely how we wanted it. And honestly, Alice, Christina, and Yvonne have been the most hardworking, dedicated group of members that you could ever imagine. So we will definitely keep you up to date as we move through the process.
Can I go back? Can I ask a question?
We go over to Lasser's and drink wine. John.
Oh, nice.
Mary, I assume there's a lot of detail behind each of these items that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I read a statement like a strength is building a downtown center, was there any reference to put a library there?
It did not come up just as a course of the conversation. It did not. It did come up that, other towns have a walkable downtown center where you can access many things at one time, but no one seemed to think like that so many things would be available. As nice as the new downtown center in Brookfield will be, no one thought that, well, if the library was there, it would be more things you can walk to. So it did not come up. Okay.
I guess what I'm probing for is I looked at this and I thought, boy, what a load of work was accomplished here, and you could detect the interaction going on with the people, and I was super pleased with that. But it gets back to Betsy's question, and that's, where do you go from here? How do you get enough meat in the material you're gathering along this line that's going to translate into having the appropriate impact on some of the things that are suggested here? Statement like the town has too many silos. Thank you. What do I do about it? How do you think we approach that?
Right.
Is that something that you see as we progress that we'll be pulling together?
Actually, it could become one of the more doable things. I mean, obviously, we can't provide transportation for the town necessarily. Perhaps we could, tell the town like, hey, this keeps coming up as an idea. Let, dump it in someone else's lap and say, just if you want to know, this is what's on people's minds. But the fact that people feel like things are siloed, people feel like they don't know what's happening. Perhaps, the library could be more of a clearinghouse of information of, here's what's going on in town, whether it was, kind of website based, or whether we could post notices on an electronic billboard, so to speak, in the foyer of the library or somewhere. So there are some things that we could probably help people out with. If they're lacking that information, the library is a good place to give information.
I just wanted to mention those library service responses and how they really tie into the strategic plan. And, you did a lot of work with figuring out what people found of high priority and how they will feed the plan. I don't know if you wanted to mention those. I think you sent them out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the very last thing I sent. It was 18 little paragraphs.
Yeah.
Things. There are things the libraries can handle. At least, who knows? Maybe there are more. But we'll take everybody's thoughts and see what's feasible. A lot of it, library may be doing already. We do so many things that people either didn't know about, and again, we can improve communication in that regard. Just like, how much the library helps people with career moves and looking for jobs and helping with resume writing. It was interesting that people didn't seem to know about that, but then when they looked at the service responses, they didn't think that, that was very high on their list of priorities, and thinking, who else does that in town? It's not like grown-ups have guidance counselors, although we could use them sometimes. So we'll kind of have to see where the information leads us.
But Mary, we're also going to use this for the strategic plan that we have to submit to the state
Correct.
to apply for a grant. So that's also part of it, part of showing community input.
Right. They will definitely want to see that. Who participated, how many participated.
Yeah, okay. So you're moving along. Thank you for doing that. And we thank the first selectman who said he would finance some of the costs associated with that focus group.
Yep.
Yep.
So
we stayed below his amount.
good.
On time and under budget.
Yeah. Okay, the bylaws review. At the last meeting, Leslie and Casey presented some suggested changes to the bylaws. Excuse me. And you all got a copy of it the day after the meeting. Are you prepared at this point to approve those changes? Would you like another month to look at them? Do you have any questions about them? Okay, wait, basically what one of the recommended changes was in membership, and it adds a sentence that resignations from the board shall be in written form and transmitted to the town clerk, which is the town way of resigning from something. So that's one change. It added to, let's see, Article 3 duties. There's a list of 8 particular duties that the board has, and we've added a 9th. Although it's number 2, it's perform annual review of the director. It says a little more than that, but it's primarily recognizing that. Let's see, officers. Let's see, officers and elections. Under which is the library director shall retain a copy of the minutes and other records for a period of 1 year after, and it doesn't say that, but after which they can go to, fundamentally, those records belong with the town clerk. The official records of meetings and things. So that's it. Under meetings, it added a clause under, when it talks about executive sessions, it says the official minutes will show only that the board was in executive session, and the addition is, and the reason for the executive session. So, and that's what we have done even before this. Okay, and Article 7 on committees, it's adding a section to the chairman of the subcommittees must be a board member. Additional members of the subcommittees may be members of the community who are not presently board members, so that explicitly we can have board members on subcommittees and people who are not board members, but would be willing to participate and contribute. Okay, so do you want to approve all of those at once, one at a time?
No.
I think we can do them all at once.
Okay, would you like to make a motion?
I move that we approve the changes to the bylaws as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, John. Okay, no comments, questions? Okay, all in favor of approving
Aye.
changes?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Abstained?
Do
Okay,
I
thank,
have to attach the changes, I guess the final bylaws to the minutes, or?
I think we are gonna have to go back and change the bylaws to reflect those. So Leslie, can you and Casey do that and send Claire a
Yes.
copy of the bylaws and put the revision date at the bottom?
Absolutely.
And then attach it to the minutes.
Send it to me as well so we can put it on the website.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you to Leslie and Casey for going through this. It's always a good exercise to get you to read the bylaws first off, and gets the rest of us to read the bylaws because we have to comment on it. So thank you to both of you. Okay, let's see, policies. Well, we actually did one policy last month. We are going to start now on the exhibits policy, which got suggested for possible revision because of the new, the art gallery system. And of course, this appeared first around March of last year, at which time, of course, there was no art gallery for a year. So we have not done anything on the on revisions. So I've asked Yvonne to come up with a draft of possible changes in the exhibits policy. So it will either be here in May or June so that we can look at that policy and see the suggested changes. Okay, the budget. Actually, right now, as we speak, the Board of Finance is holding a special meeting to approve the budget that they will submit to the town at a town meeting and then have it go to referendum. So my husband is downstairs watching that for any mention.
Of the library.
Yes, of the library. I looked at the budget again today, and it looks to me exactly like that they've talked about before for the library. The $30,000 for an architect is in the budget. So is funds for the ADA compliant bathroom and for the windows. There is no funds for an elevator, no funds for a generator. We also, there is a line for security cameras, which is blank at the moment. My guess is those will still come funded some other magical way. It was not something we ever put in anyway. So
I do have an update on that if you want to hear that about
the security camera.
Yeah, they took it out of the capital budget and funded it under operating. That's why it's blank there. And they are lumping it together with the security cameras for town hall and
Good.
Parks and Rec. So they will do it as a town project.
Good.
That's good. That's where it should be.
That's right. Oh, the only thing that, and I don't know whether this is new, I think that they just erased the last $1,500 we put in for a salary contingency line. It was their suggestion that we do that after we told them that we really needed some way to control some salary costs. So we put $10,000 in last year. We put and most of it went to COVID expenses. This year, they've just been cutting it. So there is $0 in that line item for salaries. It doesn't say salary contingency, it says something else, because I don't think they have a salary contingency line. So I will tell you, the total right now that would come to the library is $912,017.
I'll double check with Marcia on that contingency line.
Yes, actually, yeah, yes, it is actually at the moment out.
Okay, I'll double check and make sure that's not a mistake.
Yeah, and so presumably this is the budget that will go to the town meeting and then be forwarded to the referendum on the 18th of May. So that being before our next meeting, so I encourage you all to vote Mary.
Just to help people vote, the people who live on the Huckleberry Hill side of town, Huckleberry Hill cannot be used as a voting location for the next like 3 cycles that would be voting things. They're going to use St. Marguerite's, still the same hours, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. It should be pretty easy. They've been very, accommodating. And the no excuse absentee voting is still out, and you can access that through town hall, possibly the website as well.
And you will actually be able to get an absentee ballot.
Right.
Normally you can't because of the short period of time in there, but I guess they're going to make an exception this year too. So if you need an absentee ballot, you can get one, but they won't issue it till after the town meeting, I don't think.
Right, and then the town meeting's Tuesday? Is coming Tuesday?
The 4th. Is that
Yeah,
Tuesday?
that's Tuesday, yeah. At the high school at 7?
Yes,
Yes.
because that's always where it is.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, so that would be good in the auditorium. Generally there's not much goes on at these, but still it's good to attend to find out how things are going and sort of the tenor of people's attitudes towards the budget. I think the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen have done nobody likes budgets because somebody always gets cut, including the library and almost everybody else, because they just are not going to, without large increases. This budget increases the mill rate by 1.5%. What it doesn't do, I read the newspaper tonight, the News Times, and I think it's Sherman's budget is they're not raising their mill rate, but they're using surplus funds to cover expenses. So which means that next year
They'll have a big problem next year.
yes.
I still see, John and Alice and I are probably old timers. I remember when we used to approve the budget at the town meeting, and that was that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was much better. I remember being called and taking my little kids because they needed an extra vote to pass the school budget.
Yeah, right.
much easier doing it that way.
Well, you're right, it is, but it
And I
Yeah.
know there's
Never
pros
did
and
it.
cons to both, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've been here long enough that we used to pass the budget in the town meeting.
when the budget wasn't very big.
That's not that much different. I mean, it's gone up, but but anyway.
But I will tell you quickly what we used to live in Willington, way out east
Oh,
end of Connecticut, and it wasn't the annual budget town meeting. It was a town meeting called because the power company wanted to use a right of way that they'd had for years in Willington, and they all of a sudden said they wanted to use it. And people who bought houses on that right of way knew it was there, but they said, nope, we want to get the town to fund a lawyer so we can fight the power company. And so we went to the town meeting and argued and voted by paper, I mean, a little scrap of paper, yes, sir. Turns out the vote was tied. And it was tied because the couple who was really seriously wanting to sue the power company owned their own home. They weren't registered to vote, but you can, like you can in Brookfield today, vote local issues if you own property in the town.
Yep.
Well, the house was registered in his name, not in hers, and she didn't have a vote and they lost.
yes.
God.
Democracy in action.
In action, yes, they were. So, yeah, so I think nowadays it's, I mean, unless you're getting like, well, Danbury has a city council now. Newtown has a representative town council. They vote on the budget, and Danbury does. Those are the two that I know around here, but everybody else is, yes, get out and go vote.
Yep.
And hope that the budget passes the first time around, because
It
If
always goes down.
Yep.
It never goes up.
Yes. Okay, Jessely, welcome. Okay,
Thank you. Sorry, it was delayed.
delayed. I wanted to bring up one more thing. And we probably don't need to decide it now. For one of the things that we have done in the library board has always met in the library. This past year, while we were all having to do Zoom meetings, in addition to them being a little uncomfortable, but workable, they are also broadcast and recorded. Something that's never happened to library meetings. We're not doing anything incorrectly by having a meeting at the library and having it open to the public. But the question is, do we want to think about going forward when we can come back and meet in person? Is there a way we can do that at the library and still have it broadcast and saved in whatever way the town saves these things? Or I know that it's possible we could do it at town hall if we can manage to schedule it, but that it is possible there to broadcast and save meetings. So it's something to think about, because my guess is the May meeting will, at the very least, be by Zoom once again. And so June or July is the first time we need to think about that and how we want to handle it. So if you have any preferences one way or the other.
The only thing I would ask Betsy is if anybody has ever looked at the meeting afterwards. Because they're open, anybody can come. We've had visitors in the past.
Yep,
It hasn't been where people are really chomping at the bit to listen to what we have to say. I think the library is a good place to continue it. But as I said, I don't know if anybody has looked at these Zoom meetings after the fact.
well, and I don't know whether
Okay, Claire.
Claire watches them.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you can go on YouTube and see how many people have watched them. Like any of us could do that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer, and I don't also know the answer on how long the town stores. I mean, if they leave them on YouTube forever, I don't know how long the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and the Board of Ed all record their meetings. Mary, does the zoning board also do that?
Yes,
Yeah.
in normal times. Well, actually, Zoom has been recorded too. Yes.
Yes. Well, aren't there only specific, it's only the big room where the Board of Selectmen meet and the room where the Board of Finance meets. Those are the only two, I believe that are recordable.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
you're right. And
The school, the gym, the library.
yes, the media room at the high school. Yes, those are the only three places that I know that it's possible to meet and be recorded. And the Selectmen's conference room, the one the Board of Finance now uses, is so small. I mean, with 11 of us at a meeting.
And the other thing is that, we know this meeting space is at a premium in this town. So meeting at the library is actually probably the best solution, because we may be fighting for meetings. I don't know who else meets the same night that we do, but somebody's meeting right now, you said, right? Board of Finance? Meets on Wednesdays. Board of Ed meets on Wednesdays.
It's a special meeting of the Board of Finance. It's not their regular. I think they had to cancel their regular meeting because nobody showed up. I mean, literally, they didn't have a quorum, so.
I'm sure it shouldn't be a problem for us to do it at the library, Yvonne, to set up the technology there to have the meeting and then address Claire's issues with the sound.
Yeah, well, yeah, we will look into it.
Yeah, we can definitely look at doing that. I was just checking the town YouTube, and right now 2 people are watching our meeting. I was just going to scroll back to see our last meeting.
I was just going to say March's meeting had 27 views.
Oh, wow.
It did, yeah. So.
Boy.
Really? That's really surprising.
People are watching, or Claire's watching it 27 times.
Well, I would say that now that we're talking about a new library, we might be the hot meeting to watch in town.
And we might also say that, of course, that's part of the planning for a new library, is those kinds of facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Actually, as I was listening to this, along the lines of that last comment, I was thinking about the recording capability and being able to put it out on the library website, because my suspicion is, as we go through the next couple of years, there's going to be an opportunity to use the forum of the meeting to have people go in a little more detail and explaining critical strategic things that are going on, so the public can get a good education and an opportunity to see that material and be able to comment, feedback, and so forth. I don't know how that sits with you, but with all this communication skills that our staff has been developing and so forth, I just have a sense of, for all the work that's going on right now with our different committees, you get to the point where you really would like to have a vehicle where you have a more complete information flow going to the public. I don't know if that works for you or if it has any value, but it's one of my, I'm awakened thought process.
Well, it would be really easy to post a link on the library website to the video that's on YouTube. That wouldn't be difficult.
Yeah, that would, I was gonna say, if we do it, I would sort of go with, let's do what the town is doing and add our stuff to it. And link back, yeah, link to it from the website. Okay, it's just a thought. We don't have to make a decision right now, because I think our May meeting is by default going to be by Zoom again. Sorry, Claire. We'll get the sound ready. Okay, so I have nothing else. Does anybody else?
Just a comment.
Sure.
Julia Alvarez. Oh my gosh, Yvonne. I already read her book.
Hey.
I don't think I'm emotional thinking about it. This woman she's amazing, and she's from my country, Dominican Republic, and she taught me about history before my parents even had time to talk to me about my own history. And I cannot wait. Can I meet her?
Well,
I'm such a fan.
You can meet her on Zoom.
Oh yeah, of course. No, of course. But I've tagged so many people from California to Dominican Republic to, just here in Connecticut, in New York. I'm starstruck. I'm so excited.
I'm so thrilled, Jessie. That's great. That is so wonderful. And she's quite extraordinary, really. She has sent us personal videos that she made for us to use to promote the One Town, One Read. And we just started posting them. Definitely watch her videos. She's authentic and deep.
I don't think, it's hard to put into words what she means to the Dominican culture, because she moved here at such a young age. She broke those barriers, became a writer, and then wrote about the culture. And so me being the first generation born American to having read her books, because we weren't taught Dominican history in school. We celebrated Christopher Columbus, but Dominicans don't celebrate Christopher Columbus. And so,
nor should we, but okay.
No, right. But I think I learned more in depth about his crimes through going personally to the Dominican Republic, because they preserved a lot of, the civilization that was back then, still today. They did a great job to preserve that. And there's just so much that she has done through her writing that's really helped an Americanized Dominican understand the history.
So Jessie, during the author visit, we will be counting on you to ask.
Oh, I have a list, and it's not even written down. It's just off the top.
Everyone is frozen. Is it me? And that's May 19th, right? Wednesday, May 19th.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hi, Howard. She will actually be meeting twice. So she will be meeting, Jessie, did anyone read the other One Town, One Read book, which is called Return to Sender?
I have not read that yet. I thought that was for the kids.
It's a young adult book, but it's well written, and I read it and I enjoyed it, and
I will read that next.
sort of more political than Afterlife, and I think if you liked Afterlife, you will like Return to Sender.
Yeah. So the first book that I read for her were The Three Butterflies, and I encourage all of you, if she wrote about these women. True story. It's just so impactful. These sisters that took on the dictator Trujillo in Dominican Republic and changed the entire country. 4 sisters, 1 survived.
Good.
And the way she wrote the book was beautiful. And when I read her book, and then I went to Dominican Republic, and there's paintings of the sisters, and museums, and it was just, she did them justice.
Okay, good. So it's,
Exciting. I've
So
been
that's
waiting.
my comment, sorry. I'm
No,
very
I've been
excited.
waiting. I've been waiting for closer to her visit to read it. Now I feel like I need to jump on it.
Oh, you need to read it. You need to read it.
Just curious, I'm glad you brought up Just Lead. Yvonne, you never mentioned why we did it so soon this year. Usually it's in the summertime. Was it because of her schedule or?
Was exactly because of
Yeah.
her schedule.
Okay.
When we found out that we could get her, we said, we will take any date you want to give us. And we proposed doing it through the summer, but she was going to be gone on a book tour at that point, and she was not going to be available. So we thought we'd rather have her than not. So,
Yeah.
so we took her time frame.
Now,
Awesome.
a book tour, do I hear that that means she has a new book coming out?
She does have a new book coming out, and I've lost track of when it's coming out, but we timed this one. The reason she was willing to do this one with us is because Afterlife came out in paperback a couple of weeks ago. So we were wanting to promote and give out free books to the community, and she was very excited about that concept.
okay. All right, so anything else? No, then we will close the meeting. Thank you all for being here and participating. Make sure you go to the town meeting and vote on the 18th.
18th.
All right, thank you.
Need a
Thank you,
motion.
everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.